come in, come in. Don't be shy. Raz, it is. Nice to meet you, Raz. We're just here today to talk about some things. I want to learn a bit more about these dreams that you've been having. Here, come, take a seat, and we can start. Okay, let's begin. So, describe to me this camp you keep dreaming of.
So the game begins at night during a campfire where the camp counselor, Coach Oleander, has everyone gathered around while he goes over what to expect from the camp. The camp is known as Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp. In this camp, boys and girls around the age of 11 gather to hone their psychic abilities to one day become a Psychonaut. Just imagine a budget version of the X-Men, and you will have a perfect visualization of the situation. During the campfire, Oleander explains what a Psychonaut is. A Psychonaut is a secret agent type of operative who helps fight evil psychics throughout people's dreams. While Coach is still explaining things, this is where our young protagonist Raz shows up as an unexpected visitor to the campsite. After falling out of the sky and getting brought up on a stage in front of everyone, he asks the Psychonauts that are present and Coach Oleander to train him. The Psychonauts that are present are Mila and Sasha. They tell him that since he never paid admission for the camp, he will need to go home. So they call his parents and let him know that his dad will be here the next day to pick him up. In the meantime, he can join the kids for training the one day he will be here. During the night, he is visited by some creepy old goblin man who claims to be the janitor of the camp. The janitor explains he can now get new powers and level up while training. Along with that, the janitor is basically going to be our Jiminy Cricket on crack, telling us what to do. After the brief explanation, the sun rises and we wake up on the morrow. After Raz wakes up, we explore a bit and get to know the other kids here at the camp. There are a lot of unique characters here. We have Mr. Russian Cosmonaut, whose name I forget, but he's Russian. And then there is Dogen. Dogen is, let's say, special. The first red flag when it comes to Dogen is when we meet him the night prior. He starts talking about how he makes people's heads explode by accident, which is kind of sus. Along with that, when we are with him, he's also freaking out because he can hear a bunch of squirrels talking, and so he decides to blow all their heads up. Then we hear some famous line that he says constantly about how he is forced to wear this special aluminum foil hat to keep from exploding people's heads. He is not the only weirdo we meet at the camp. We also have the stereotypical Peep and Tom kid who talks about how he has seen multiple R-rated movies. I think we have all experienced a few moments with a kid like this in middle school. And finally, we meet the mouth-breathing bully, Bobby. This dude is ugly AF, and I can see why he takes his anger out on other people. Finally, after meeting the rest of the campers, we get into the basic training class. Coach Oleander tells us as a Psychonaut we will be delving into people's minds to defeat evil entities and help them out. So Coach puts a door on his forehead, sucks us in, and sends us to Narnia. When we get there, though, it doesn't look much like Narnia. Instead, we are in a place called the Braining Ground. This place is the manifestation of Coach Oleander's mind. It is not exactly pleasant either. It's basically like that one scene in Saving Private Ryan where everyone is getting murdered. We are watching kids get blown up, shot, tortured, while we run through the battlefield to finish the training. During the training, we meet Lily, who Raz kinda has a thing for, but she is playing tough to get. We then help Dogen cross a minefield, and we reach the end of the course where Oleander is waiting for us. He gives us our first merit badge, and we are now on our way to becoming a full-fledged Psychonaut. We exit his mind, and Bobby Zilch continues to be a weirdo and is trying to pick on us. Lily points out to them that Sasha 9 is watching, and Bobby scatters. 9 tells Raz that he is special, and if he wants some advanced training to make it on over to his lab. He hands him a button and leaves him without telling him where the lab is. Now with the button in hand, we go around the camp asking people if they know where the lab is. We meet a few more of our campers and we see the janitor dude again. Except now he is a canoe shop owner and is also a chef and a landscaper. For some reason, he doesn't recognize us at all, and it looks like he has some sort of multiple personality type disorder. Eventually, we find out from the campers that Nine's lab is in the isolation geodesic chamber area. We head on over and we hear crying. We open the chamber and apparently Nine was torturing some kid in there for a few days. We then place the button he gave us into a thing in the prison cell that the kid was being held in and enter the lab. Here we meet Nine and he is going to train us to become stronger. Cue anime training montage. Cut. Wait. We don't have the budget for a montage? Are you sure? Fine. Well, back to the lab, I guess then. In the lab, Sasha hooks us up to some machine that gives us the ability to enter our own minds. We enter Rasputin's mind, and while we are traversing it, there is some sort of weird big black demon-like monster that tries to hit us. Just before it attacks us, Nine pulls us out.
Interesting. So you say that in this summer camp, there are many other children like you, and they are all psychics as well. And that during the summer camp they're being put through a training program to become a Psychonaut. For some reason, you have also been singled out for advanced training as well, in which this advanced training, you must tackle your own demons in your mind. So, tell me, Raz, what happens next?
We wake up in Sasha Nine's lab after that and he tells us to progress in our training. We have to get stronger and come back so that we can fight our inner demons. We go off to meet with Agent Kohler, who is also the janitor, fisherman, chef, landscaper we met earlier. He teaches us to play with fire because, as in the game and in the real world, everyone knows all kids should be playing with lighters and matches. So he gives us a Zippo and the fire merit badge as well. He also tells us that a purple kryptonite-like rock called Psychonauts is the source of all the psychic powers in the world. After we get the rundown from Kohler, we go back to Sasha to learn to shoot guns. Also, totally a life skill all children should be learning. To practice our shooting, we are killing these things called sensors. Sensors are like white blood cells. They roam the mind and kill anything that is not meant to be there. Since we shouldn't be in anyone's mind or even our own, we are going to constantly run into sensors that are attacking us. After we kill 1,000 sensors and a really big one that throws meatballs, we earn our shooting merit badge and can now use our mind Glock to fight the demon in our head. We go back into our dream and go back to the area that we saw the demon at. We shoot it and now it is dead. Yeah, it was a sort of anticlimactic, but that's fine. We continue on in our head until we reach a big tree thing that we actually see that Dogen is in here as well. He has been tied up and strapped to a chair. Then here pops out a weird creepy villain dude that is wearing a shower cap and has a hook hand. Apparently he is a dentist, but he is harvesting people's minds. Yeah, I don't even know, dude, don't ask me. Anyways, he talks to Dogen for 5 minutes and realizes how mentally unstable he is and decides to pluck out his brain. Unfortunately, we cannot save Dogen because we have not learned the levitate ability. To save Dogen, we have to make it over to Mila, the other Psychonaut at the camp, to learn the ability. On the way there, we meet Dogen, but he seems more brainless than usual and is just asking to watch TV. We then go over to the canoe shop and get our boating license so that we can cross the river to meet with Mila and train. Before we cross the river, though, we get a bit of a background on Raz's family. We learn that Raz is from a circus family. He was trained to perform as a child, which explains his innate ability to traverse many different environments with ease. We also learned that all of Raz's ancestors were killed by psychics, and his family was cursed to be killed by water, therefore making Raz never be able to swim. He is basically a psychic version of Dick Grayson. Raz then takes the canoe over to Mila and she teaches him to levitate. To learn the ability, he goes into Mila's mind. Her mind is basically a whole discotheque party where we get to practice our platforming. Not much else happens here except there is a hamster ball race with Bobby where of course we win. And after that, we get our levitation merit badge and go back into our dream. We make it back to the tree where we saw Dogen being captured and we see the dentist has thrown his brain into the garbage chute. Along with that, we see our crush Lily strapped down in a chair as well. First we must save Dogen and we jump down the garbage chute after his brain. The dentist puts Dogen's brain into a tank and is using it to power it for his army. Apparently his evil plan consists of using psychic brains to control tanks and take over who knows what. We then have to fight the tank and defeat it so that we can save Dogen. After saving Dogen, we exit our dream. When we exit our dream, 9 gets a distress call about an urgent mission and skedaddles. We also then learn that Coach Oleander is evil and he has been broadcasting a hypnosis signal throughout the camp to all of the campers through the telecom system. We then go to find Lily to save her before her brain is taken, like Dogen's. When we meet her, we tell her what is going on and she thinks we are trying to flirt with her. She sees a flower on the ground and grabs it, but it isn't a flower. It is a mutated lungfish. The lungfish hits us and she yells at it and calls us her boyfriend. It then swallows her and runs into the ocean. Or swims, I guess. Apparently we are in a committed relationship now and have to go find a way to save her from the lungfish. We go over to the canoe Kohler and he tells us that we can take the diving machine into the lake to save her. We go underwater and fight the lungfish. Simply beating it isn't enough though, because we realize it is actually being corrupted by the coach's hypnosis. We decide to go into its mind to help it. When we get in its mind, we basically enter a version of the movie Godzilla. Not the new lame one, the cool Godzilla 2000, or like Godzilla vs. Mothra. We become the creature known as Goggalor, and we have to fight Mothra known as Kochamara. Before the fight, we first have to free the resistance members from their prisons so that they can help us. After doing that, Kochamara shows up to try to defeat us. We win and destroy the radio tower that was broadcasting Coach's hypnosis message, and we free the lungfish from her corrupted torment. We learn that the lungfish's name is actually Linda. Linda lets us know that Lily was taken over to the insane asylum for experimentation. Linda takes us there and we meet the guard at the gate now. Our job now is to find a way to get into the asylum. The guard keeps talking about some milkman. He states that the milkman has the key to the gate, but he doesn't know where he is. We decide to go into his mind to see who he is referring to when he says the milkman. After going into his mind, we learn that the guard's name is Boyd. Boyd sends us off to investigate his dream to find the milkman. While exploring, we discover a few things. Boyd was a member of the insane asylum. We also learn that the milkman is actually him. It is a persona he takes on as a pyromaniac, and that he is actually unaware that he is the milkman. We help him fight his inner demons, and we exit his mind. After exiting, he realizes he is the milkman, and he opens the gate, runs up to the front of the asylum, and just stands there with a Molotov in his hand, deciding whether to throw it or not. After following him to the front, we see that the door is barred up. We explore around looking for another way in, and we stumble upon some lady named Gloria. Gloria is blocking the secondary entrance to the asylum. Gloria used to be a famous Broadway actor until something tragic in her life happened, and it turned her crazy. Unfortunately, we can't get by unless she moves, so we go into her brain to see what's going on there. When we get in her brain, there is basically a Broadway play happening. The play is explaining the events of Gloria's life. There is a phantom that is also haunting the play though and causing havoc. Nice play on words. Get it? Phantom of the opera? Phantom of the Broadway? No? Okay. Whatever. Anyways, to help Gloria, we have to listen to her life story, and once the phantom shows up during that, we will have to go ahead and kill it. We learn that Gloria as a kid was sent to a theater academy that abused her, and her parents basically abandoned her there. When she got a bit older, she made it onto Broadway and got famous until one day she got a note, and the contents of the note caused her to pull a Britney and go mad. #Free Britney. The note itself was telling her that her mom committed suicide because she was jealous of her daughter's fame and felt outshined. After we learn about this, the Phantom of the Broadway shows up and we defeat him. After defeating him, the play can finally finish. We exit Gloria's mind and she thanks us and moves out of the way. She also gives us her trophy as well. We enter the asylum and we stumble upon Fred Bonaparte and the blind elevator guard. Fred Bonaparte is kinda weird and he keeps talking to himself and switching personalities. Unfortunately, we can't just leave him and go up the elevator because there's a guard there. So we have to also help another mentally unstable patient. We enter his dream and we see him and Napoleon Bonaparte having a mock battle. Essentially what is happening is Napoleon is Fred's ancestor and he keeps kicking his butt, and Fred has no motivation to get better and win. He's basically the incarnate of a stay-at-home 30-year-old neckbeard living in his mother's basement. We decide to help Fred out and we become his general, recruiting all of his soldiers, engineers, and chefs to challenge and fight Napoleon. During this time, much like Gloria, we also get a little bit of background on Fred and how he joined the asylum. We learn that he originally was one of the watchers here and not a patient, until one day he decided to play a game with one of the patients and loses. After losing, he goes mad trying to win and takes on this alternate persona of being a Bonaparte. So after helping him beat his imaginary grandpa Napoleon Bonaparte, we leave his mind and he is no longer talking to himself like a crazy person. He gives us his straitjacket and decides to take a nap. We try now to talk to the elevator guard to see if we can get through and he still won't let us in. We look for an alternate route and meet our next crazy dude, Edgar Teagley. Honestly, out of all the others we have met so far, he is the most sane. He is just an artist who is having an artist block. We go into his mind to try to help him with this. After entering, we start to look like we belong in the movie Coco. In his dream, there is a raging bull destroying everyone's art. We have to take out the bull to save him. This is until we find out he is actually the bull. And the other two characters in his mind, the Matador and the Mistress, are really his high school bullies. He took on this persona of a bull to fight them, but what is the bull's weakness? A matador. We help him overcome his childhood bullies and he sees how truly pathetic they are. After doing so, we exit his dream and he gives us the painting he made of the dentist. We go back to the elevator and we realize that the guard is half blind and he can't see us well. We use the portrait, straitjacket, and trophy to imitate the crazy dentist, and the elevator guard lets us up. We then traverse our way through the insane asylum to reach the top. On the way there, we are getting attacked by some rats that have a new strain of the plague that makes us go loopy after they die. The whole time we are going up, there is some disembodied voice telling us to go away and stop. When we finally reach the top, we see the ugly dentist and we find out a little bit about what is going on. We also see the body that this disembodied voice belongs to, and it is some random girl. She's talking to the dentist and he is getting mad at her because apparently she brings him the brains of the campers, but none of the brains are aggressive enough to power his tanks for the army he is making. Also, the only reason that the girl is listening to the dentist is because her turtle, Mr. Pokelope, is being held hostage. We sneak off after hearing all of this and try to find a way to save everyone who has had their brains taken. Eventually, we find our girlfriend Lily, Sasha 9, and Mila all tied up in chairs at the very top of the asylum. Shigor, the girl that owns the turtle, shows up and pleads us to help her free Mr. Pokelope. Since it is also part of our prerogative, we agree to help. We go back to the lab part of the asylum and we get Mr. Pokelope free of his prison without the dentist knowing. We then get to hear Mr. Pokelope speak.
That's right, baby. Daddy's here. Everything's gonna be alright. Now here's what we're gonna do.
And let's just say, he isn't Mr. Pokelope, and he is now Daddy Pokelope. Like, god damn. He helps us devise a plan and we go back to the lab to save Sasha and Mila's brain. We sabotage the dentist's experiment and send him flying off the top of the asylum to die. Now that we have taken care of him, we will return Sasha and Mila's brain to their body and free Lily. Coach Oleander shows up all of a sudden and starts to attack us, so Nine and Mila have to fight him. In the meantime, all of the patients from the asylum that we helped are all leaving. While leaving, they end up breaking a gas pipe and starting a leak. They all meet up at the front of the asylum where Boyd is still deciding whether to throw his Molotov at the building. He finally decides to do it and catches the whole place on fire. After throwing it like a complete creep, he snaps out of whatever funk he is in and says, "The milkman has completed his route." Then all of the patients leave. Lily and Raz leave the asylum as well, and while leaving, it blows up. After saving Lily from getting crushed by debris, he kisses her. Looking at the rubble from the building, Sasha and Mila come floating down and let us know they think that Oleander is finally finished. Suddenly, Oleander shows up and he has combined his brain with a super tank, and now we have to fight him. We defeat him, but he planted a sneezing powder bomb and it goes off. We sneeze and our brain shoots out of our head. As now just a motionless brain, we decide to use our telekinesis to combine with the tank to defeat Oleander's brain once and for all. We end up going back into our own mind, except now our mind and Oleander's have fused. Now we have to go through both our past and his combined past as well. Due to this, we also learn about how both of us have daddy issues. Before we can be separated, we must help each other face our daddy issues. We learn that Oleander is scarred because as a kid he had a pet bunny and his dad, who is a butcher, decided to kill it for meat. After learning that, we learn more about our past as well. Raz has issues with his dad because his dad hates him for being a psychic. The reason he hates him for being a psychic is because his whole family was killed by them. So eventually we both have to face our dads to help put our minds at ease. Our dads form into giant bosses that we have to fight to overcome our past trauma. We eventually defeat both of them, and we are freed from our minds. We end up back in the camp now, and we flash forward to Agents Kohler, Nine, and Mila asking Raz to join the Psychonauts since he is deserving and proved it after saving everyone. Along with that, this is the end of our summer camp, and our dad has shown up to pick us up. Just before we leave, we say our goodbyes, and Lily comes and kisses us again. Right after that, Nine, Kohler, and Mila show up, and they say we can't leave because there is a secret mission we need to go on to save the president. We hop in a jet, and we soar off into the sky.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Raz. Would you mind coming back again for another visit so that we can discuss what happened in more detail? Why don't you go wait outside for a while you talk to your parents for a bit, okay? Mm-hmm. Here. So, I would recommend that you come back again. He's having some very strange delusions. I understand that you said his dad passed away when he was young. I think he may have manifested this sort of world where he feels he can have some type of control due to his father's passing. Here, I'm going to prescribe some medication for him that should help with his situation. Please bring him back for more help. I worry for him. It is also good to remember that sometimes we can all use a little help as well. Would you like to book an appointment too?
Thanks everyone for watching. I decided to experiment a little bit more with some concepts and things I wanted to incorporate in these reviews and summaries. Sometimes it isn't always as funny as other videos, but I thought with Psychonauts, since it has like a view on mental health and your mentality overall, I thought it'd be funny to talk about it from the eyes of a demented therapist. Let me know what you all think about it and give me any suggestions you have for the future, any games you want me to review, summary, anything like that. Please leave a like, subscribe, and share the video. I'd really appreciate it, and other than that, I hope you all have an amazing day. Goodbye.